They thought she was just a weak little farm girl, an easy target to mock, shove, and break. But the moment the bully smashed her head into the dirt, they had no idea what storm they had just awakened, or who was about to come for them. Because behind that quiet child stood a mother whose past was far darker, far stronger, and far more unshakable than anything they could imagine. 8-year-old Lily was small for her age, with tangled chestnut hair and clothes that always smelled faintly of hay. She lived with her widowed mother, Grace, on a struggling farm at the edge of town. Every morning, Lily walked the dusty road to the schoolhouse, clutching her lunch in a patched-up cloth, her eyes lowered to avoid attention. But avoiding attention was impossible in a world where cruelty had sharp eyes. The other kids laughed at her muddy boots and worn-out dress. Farm rat, they called her, shoving her books into puddles, yanking her braids, mocking the way her hands were rough like an old woman's. Lily never fought back. She had learned from her mother to stay gentle, to hold her tears inside, because kindness was their strength. But that morning was different. A group of older boys cornered her behind the barn near the schoolyard. One sneered, "Let's see what the farm rat's got in her head, probably just dirt." Before Lily could run, they shoved her down. One boy grabbed a rock, another pressed her cheek to the ground. And with a cruel laugh, they smashed her head against the earth. The world spun. Warm blood trickled near her temple. She didn't scream. She didn't fight. She just looked up, dazed, her wide eyes shining with both fear and a stubborn will not to give them satisfaction. But when she stumbled home that evening, bruised and silent, Grace saw everything. Grace's hands trembled as she cleaned the wound. Her daughter tried to whisper, "I'm fine, Mama." But Grace wasn't listening. The quiet fire in her chest was burning too hot. She had spent years hiding her past, living as just a humble farmer, raising her child with love and patience. No one in this town knew who she truly was, or what kind of strength she carried in her bones. But now, they would learn. The next day, Lily didn't walk to school alone. Grace walked beside her. She wasn't dressed like a tired farmer anymore. Her boots were polished, her shoulders squared, her eyes sharp with a power that silenced the road itself. At the schoolyard, the bullies laughed again, until Grace's gaze fell on them like a hammer. She called the boys forward, her voice calm but filled with steel. Teachers rushed out, worried at the sight, but Grace's presence froze them too. She knelt beside the trembling children and spoke in a tone that cut deeper than any shout. "Do you know what happens when you smash the head of a farm girl?" she asked. The boys stared, confused. Grace's eyes glistened with rage and pain. "You awaken the fury of a mother who has nothing left to lose." The truth was, before the farm, Grace had been a soldier, a decorated, fierce defender in wars these children's fathers only whispered about. She had traded weapons for plows, battles for peace, hoping her daughter would grow up in kindness. But watching Lily's blood on her hands last night had unlocked the warrior she had buried. The principal demanded calm, but parents soon gathered, murmuring as Grace revealed what had happened. Her words painted the horror of bullying in colors no one could ignore. She didn't need to scream. Her voice carried the weight of both truth and history. She spoke of dignity, of how violence leaves scars deeper than flesh, of how cruelty passed down from parents becomes poison in children. That day, the bullies' parents bowed their heads in shame. The boys, shaken by Grace's unflinching stare, finally muttered apologies to Lily. But Grace wasn't done. She asked the entire school to gather, and there she told her story, not of violence, but of survival. She revealed that strength was not in fists or in mocking the weak, but in protecting the vulnerable. Lily, watching her mother, felt something she had never felt before, not just love, but pride. For the first time, the word farm girl didn't sound like an insult. It sounded like a title carved in courage. From that day, no one dared lay a hand on her again. But more importantly, Lily carried in her heart a lesson that would shape her life forever. When the world pushes you down, it is not your weakness that rises, it is the unseen strength of the love that stands behind you. And so, the bullies who thought they had broken a little girl learned the most unforgettable truth: behind every child is a story, and sometimes, behind every story stands a warrior.